Hello and welcome to another quick tutorial from EpoxyJewelry.com. What I'm going to do today is create a little experiment, and the first part of it entails using one of our heart molds here and creating a couple of hearts. Now, I've already measured out our normal epoxy into this little cup here, 1 part hardener to 2 parts epoxy, and I did that just to save time because we've already got videos that shows how to do that and mix it and everything. I didn't mix it up, but here's the deal. This one we're going to mix a little bit of red in there because I want these hearts red colored. Okay, so give a couple of good squeezes of red in there, and just to test out and see what will happen, I got some pearly blue. Now this isn't something that I carry, but it's basically a pearlescent powder, and just take and measure just a little bit of that in there, and that's plenty. Okay, that'll just add a little bit of a shimmer to the red. Now I'm not putting any white pigment in here, so this is red dye, so it'll be somewhat translucent in color. Okay. Now, if you've watched our mixing video, you'll know that you gotta mix this really well. You gotta scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, even scrape off the stick a couple of times. And it's a good idea to mix it for like almost a solid minute. Now, I'm really liking that color. The pearlescent has got like a blue tint to it, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this or not, but it's got kind of a creamy bluish red, purplish kind of a thing going on there with a shimmer to it. Now that I've got it pretty well mixed, I'm going to do one important step as always. Pour it into another container. Do not scrape this container out into that one, because the whole idea is we don't want any unmixed material in this container. And if the other container had any around the edges that was unmixed and you scraped it out, then you would transfer the problem over to this one. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I might have added a little bit too much of the blue powder, but hey, you know what? It's an experiment. That's the way it goes. Okay, now I'm going to go like this and put some of this in these hearts. Now I really only need the outer 2 hearts, but since I've got it mixed up, I'll go ahead and fill in the middle one too. Now, have to wait for these to fully cure, so I will continue the video tomorrow. Thank you very much. Okay, welcome back. I have taken the hearts out of our mold there and glued them inside these findings here. Got 2 different ones. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a color base around it. So I've already got my epoxy measured out here. I'm going to mix this up real good. And I'm going to add opaque white to this because I don't want this transparent. We'll see if that's enough there. Yeah, that's plenty. Okay, so hopefully you can see that real good there. We've got an opaque white epoxy now with our 2-part jewelry epoxy. Mix this up really well. As always, scraping the bottom, the sides, and even the stick several times. Like that. And when you think you've got it mixed pretty good, switch it to another container. Do not scrape the sides of this one, and mix again. This is to assure that you've got a full mix here without any unmixed material inside. Okay. Now, to transfer the epoxy in here, I'm going to try these little pipettes here And so all you do is squeeze it and draw it up just like an eyedropper. Go put it in the corner. Move this, make sure you can see. Put it in the corner here and just slowly fill that up around the outside. Okay. Now I'll do, it's got some bubbles in it, but I'm going to take care of those here in just a second. Since it is so shallow, it's a good idea to pop those bubbles before it hardens, but you've got half-hour working time with this epoxy. That's not a big deal. There we go. Okay, so now those are both filled up. Now, one thing I should mention too is this heart here, the loop on the back sticks down lower than the bottom, so you really should work with it on an elevated surface so that it's not tilted at an angle. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a little pen tool and pop those bubbles real easy. There's a good chance they would pop on their own during curing, but since they're so big and right up there in front, there's no reason not to go ahead and do it. Just like that. Okay, I got one little tiny bubble over here that doesn't want to pop for some reason. It's being stubborn. There it goes. Okay. Now, that's the whole idea of that. You end up with a filled bezel. Hopefully you can see that too well. I can't tilt it, but now what I'll do is I will let these harden overnight. I'll show you. I just used a super glue. The one I use is actually called Hot Shot gap filling glue to glue those in there. And in fact, I kind of screwed up on the black one. I got it a little off center, but it'll still look good. So I will be back with the finished product. Thanks.